Hey guys, this is Jamey Jordan here, and I've been working with Eastwood on my Signature Series line of new tools for the bead roller. And I want to take a second and walk you through some of these new products that we have, just so you can get familiar with using them on the bead roller. All right guys, the next rolls we're going to talk about are the 3/8 bead dies, which are the fundamental rolls of bead rolling and actually where the bead roller gets its name from. So this die is the most universal die you'll have out there. It's going to be able to strengthen panels, give you a neat look, and they're super easy to use. All right guys, let's go ahead and get these set up. So the first thing you want to do is get your lower die on, and then you want to put your upper top bead die on and line them up between the two collars, making sure that they line up exactly in between each other. So whenever you're using your beading die, I like to have a nice stop and start point drawn out on my panel. And whenever I'm doing this, I want to start exactly with the crown of the bottom of the die, starting right here. All right, you start to feel the pressure right here. I'm going to go ahead and add maybe a turn and a half, and I feel like that should be a pretty good starting point for us. And the trick to this one is just hold it straight, making sure you keep the die right in the center of your line. Then, as you can see, we've got a nice little bead in there. So what you want to do is make sure that as you see the panel starting to curve like this, so what I do is I just use my thigh, bend it over a little bit, kind of keep that flex out of it, and you see we're keeping it straight. You never want to let this panel continue to taco up or bend or curve without trying to straighten it up just a little bit to keep it nice and flush to run through the bead roller. So moving on, we'll get the second one. Making sure we line up close to the same spot. Remembering our pressure point was down here to 6, so we're going to give it a turn. Maybe a turn and a half there. Remembering what I said about keeping the center of the die centered on your line. All right. Don't forget your little trick to keeping it nice and flat, and then we'll start over again. All right, now that we've got 3 beads in there, you can see them from the back side as well as the front. What we're going to do next is make our line all the way around. And when we go to do that, instead of having a hard start and a hard stop, we're going to remember exactly how much pressure we had, which I believe was down to 6. And we're going to start right here in this little curve and see if we can't tie it all back together. But instead of starting with just adding the pressure, we're going to feather the pressure in. Meaning we're going to slowly add pressure as we go. So as I give it the gas a little bit, we're going to just start tightening it down. So thinking about the top of the dial as a clock, 12 o'clock being there, 6 o'clock being towards me, I reference the point of 6 as a way to keep remembering exactly where I'm at. Now when using this die, you're going to get some warpage. You're going to get a little wiggle here and there. And you're going to notice that the panel's going to flex a little bit, especially on this steel. But that's to be expected since you're just really stretching in the depth of these beads into the panel. So don't be alarmed if you start to see it warp or move just a little bit. It can all be pushed back out when you're going to use the panel. And then do your best to tie it back in, and you should be good to go. I want to take a second and explain to you some of the features with these. This radius is 3/8 of an inch. But down here, we've actually radiused the inside curve. And by doing the radiuses on the inside of the lower die, it allows us to have a lot softer edge here around the corner. So when you're making these bends, the die isn't really sharp right here and it's not gouging in and tearing your turns. So if you're familiar with using bead roll dies, you should know about these little corners tearing up. But with these radiuses in our lower die, it's going to keep that from happening as much.